Welcome back. Good afternoon and welcome to Lazy Air Flight 108 with service from Sitka, Alaska to Yakutat, Alaska. We're just going to take off from Sitka Airport, which is out on the west coast of the Alaskan, I'm not sure if you'd call that a lower arm or lower chain that reaches down beside British Columbia, but we're just taking off to the south and then we're going to make a sharp northbound turn. If you've just joined my video series, my call sign is Lazy. My plane's name is Pixel. And this is the 9th leg of a flight around the world in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I am flying in real time, A to B to C, and so on. I left from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, about 2 weeks ago. And I'm just hopping around.
Anchorage Center Lazy Lima 108 is type Cessna Skyhawk 1 miles east of Papa Alpha Sierra, India. Request flight following. Lazy Lima 108 Anchorage Center. Squawk 0534. Squawk 0534 Lazy Lima 108. Lazy Lima 108 radar contact 1 mile north of Papa Alpha Sierra, India 900 feet. Altimeter 30.01. Copy Lazy Lima 108.
I'm logging all my flights at pixelazy.ca, pixelazy.ca. I try to fly, well, I think I'm going to try to fly a couple times a week, 2 to 3 times a week. And never really more than an hour and a half to 2 hours per flight. And I hope to show you guys the highlights of what I see, where I've been, give you a sense of the journey around this giant simulated version of planet Earth. Just traversing the Alaskan coastline here. Trying to keep below this low cloud layer, but then tuck in around these mountains. These are kind of these low-lying mountains that I suppose are mountains that tucked up so their base is under sea level. The valleys become straits and fjords and all that kind of woven together landscape. The cloud layer is sitting at about 2,000 feet. And then there's nothing to see. Which is not interesting for me, and it's not interesting for you. So hopefully I can find a sneaky path around the higher peaks. And we can have a look at what this really beautiful, interesting coastline really looks like. I understand that on my way to my destination, about halfway, we're going to be flying close to Glacier Bay. So I'm really curious to see how Microsoft Flight Simulator handles glaciers. I didn't really realize that's where I was headed until I googled the location because I wanted to know how to pronounce it, and it's a nearby site, it's Glacier Bay, so I think I'm going to do that more often as I fly. Just Google my locations before I lock them in, and chart my course to stop over any interesting waypoints. Because the whole point of this trip, in this time of COVID, this time of pandemic when we can't travel, is to settle for the second best option, and that's to do a virtual trip. Software like this really makes that interesting and possible in ways that haven't been available before. Just still cruising, passing a little airport, kind of on the east side of this island that we flew over. We're about 20 miles from our first waypoint, which is another little airport just at the base of what I think is Glacier Bay. Just up ahead over this mountains, there's a broader strait of ocean, and just across there is the entrance to the bay. Still lots of low-lying cloud. But it definitely shrouds this landscape in sort of a mysterious, ethereal look. As you can see, we're just passing Gustavus Airport. That was what I'd marked as the first waypoint, first and only waypoint on this little trip. And it's sort of at the north end, as far as I can figure from the map, of Glacier Bay. And Glacier Bay, from what I've been reading, is a national park. And I assume that means it's got some pretty spectacular views if you were to visit. And hopefully equally spectacular if we fly over them in Flight Simulator here. So I'll check in a little bit if I find something interesting to look at. Still flying through Glacier Bay. I haven't really seen any glaciers yet, but some really pretty low-lying mountains through here. We're just passing a little inlet here. I wonder if it shows up on the map. You can sort of see it in the map in the lower right corner of the screen. I thought maybe I'd see some interesting scenery down there. As you can tell, the clouds are really low. If I go up above about 1,500 feet, I dip into the mist, and I can't really see what's around, so I'm threading a bit of a needle here on my flight path. Trying to stay out of the water, but also stay out of the clouds. And I've got about a 1,500 foot window. Not exactly legal flying, I think. I've never actually been up to Alaska. Wanted to go for a while. I know a lot of cruise ships come up here. My expectation as I fly up, there's a little cove of some sort just where my left wingtip is touching right there. as I swoop around from some of my research on Google and Google Maps while I've been flying here, I think one of these little coves is that picturesque spot that you always see the giant glaciers falling into the water when people are sitting on cruise ships. And I don't see any cruise ships. I don't see any glaciers. But I'm hopeful as we swoop down and approach this little bit of water here. There'll be something interesting to see. And if not, I'm gonna head off towards that fog in the distance and lift up and over a glacier that I think is there. And onward to my destination. Because I got about another hour's worth of flying to do. And I assume I'll run out of daylight before I run out of time. Let me see. Maybe not. Maybe not. There's a glacier down there. I'm touching the water, but it's not the big picturesque one that I was thinking. Let's keep going. Check in a little bit again. I know you're just as curious as I am to see what's hidden in this fog down here. For some reason, the end of this cove is just shrouded in this low block of cloud and fog. And that little jut of land by my left wingtip that sticks out is only about halfway down this body of water, so there's something down at the end there. We're going to encounter a little bit of weather here in a minute. You can see we're just leaving this low-lying cloud, nosedive into this. It could just be a rainstorm for all I know. Lose a little bit more altitude so we can maintain some visual confirmation of what's going on. So now I can literally see almost nothing. Just a little shadow of the land up ahead. Squeezing between the mountain ranges here. Up on the tip of the glacier. Nothing below us. Not much behind us. We're only at about 750 feet right now. Maybe take a risk and get a little lower. Probably gonna have to swoop up here pretty quick.
500. 500.
We should be approaching the ice shelf. There's the water. We are very low, so there's like 40 feet before we got some serious visual confirmation. Try and hug the ground. Oh, there's the glacier right there, and we're gonna have to lift up. Whoa, that's a little close. Alright, so I think I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes getting some altitude, getting up over top of this glacier, which not as much to see as I would have thought, but you never know what you're going to find when you're out exploring. I cheated a bit and I turned on the clear skies weather, because I figure it's a bit of a shame to miss some of the scenery which I knew was around here. As we fly over the north tip of Glacier Bay, Alaska. This is the glacier that we're flying up. There's beautiful mountain ranges all around us. And the real-time weather, the live weather, is low-lying fog and some very thick clouds. So I don't normally do this. I don't normally turn on the real weather, but I'd been Googling this area and I knew I wanted to have a peek at it. So
Stall.
share that with you guys. And a little bit more of that too. Just so you know, I've reactivated the live weather. Now that we're back into the groove of things, and we're about 55 miles out of our destination. Got a little bit of icing on the plane, and we're gonna descend down back to the coast, and got some clouds to deal with here for the next little while. Hopefully the low-lying clouds will dissipate right around where they were before, around 2,000 feet, 2 or 3,000 feet. But I'll check in again when we get a little closer. If you're curious, we've essentially dropped like a stone down to about, well, 2,700 feet right now, up from 11,000 feet where I cruised over the mountains. Hitting a few interesting waypoints. Tanis Mesa, Alsek River. Not familiar with any of this stuff, but again, I've never been to Alaska, but pretty much back on course. We've got about 40 odd miles to our final destination. Seems like the clouds are right around 2,000 feet. We're just kind of bouncing underneath the bottom of them right now. So we get a little bit better scenery as we travel back up the coast. The ocean is off to our left thing. Mountains off to our right wing. and it's low level flying over this flat plain until we get to our final airport. Check in a little closer. I'm still scooching along the coast here. I got another 15 miles or so to my destination, but I'm hopeful. I see a little single pixel of flashing light that I think might be the airport. More fog, more clouds, lots of little weaving rivers leading out into the ocean. Just waiting for clearance to land at Yakutat, an airport in kind of middle of Alaska on the coast.
Papa Alpha Yankee Alpha traffic Lazy Lima 1083 miles southeast, 600 feet inbound to land runway 2.
So it looks like we're going to have to land on a different runway. Let's do a circle around here. So I had a reminder of how to figure out the runway landing approach. I was thinking back to my days. I did a stint as a summer job mowing grasses around an airport near my home when I was a kid, and we had to learn all the runway ground control stuff. And basically the trick is that you take your heading. So as you can see, I'm headed 254 degrees, 255 degrees. You take you drop the last digit, and that's the runway number. So I need to swing around to 20 degrees, so I drop the last digit and hit runway 2. Seems like I kind of overshot.
Traffic Alaska 614 miles southwest inbound RNAV runway 2.
Seems like a long runway, so maybe we'll take a crack at it. Whoa. Cutting it really close. Oh. How is that for a tight landing?
Papa Alpha Yankee Alpha traffic Alaska 61 flying the missed approach.
So, another successful flight, even if it was a little bumpy of a landing. My first attempt at a landing without the landing guidance on. Didn't crash, so that's a good thing. But thanks for watching. Check out my other videos. Check out my website, pixelazy.ca. Definitely don't fly like that guy did. And we will see you next time.